Our wonderful executive producer, Mr. Dave Tabb, is in the house today. God bless him. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, pal.
It's good to be here.
Hey, everyone. Connor here. We just want to take a moment to thank you so very much for tuning in and being a part of the Decon Chamber family. Your support keeps us going, and we couldn't do this without you.
And if you love what we do and want to help us even more, please consider joining us on Patreon. You'll get exclusive perks, behind-the-scenes content, and even opportunities to chat with us directly.
And don't forget to check out our awesome merch, because who doesn't want to rep their favorite podcast in style, baby?
Every little bit helps, I promise you. And we're really very, very grateful for all of you who make this show possible. So thanks for being there. And please enjoy this episode of the Decon Chamber.
The show has begun with Connor and Dom. It's the Decon Chamber.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Trekkies and Trekkers, welcome to another watch party episode of the Decon Chamber. As always, I am assisted with my co-host and best friend in Los Angeles, Dominic Keating. I'm Connor Trinneer.
Actually, you America.
All of all of it.
I'll give you the continent.
Well, listen, America's apparently a lot right now.
It's a lot. I mean, this might include Canada.
Bits of Mexico. We're going to watch Cold Front today, which was written by Stephen Beck and Tim Finch, directed by, for the first time we met him, Robbie Duncan McNeil, who wound up doing, I believe, 5 or 6 episodes with us. And it introduces Daniels and the Temporal Cold War. Also, I want to thank 455 Films. I also want to thank Dave Tabb. Without you, we couldn't be here.
No, we couldn't. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. So listen, I watched this morning.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's a very good episode.
It's a big episode. And clearly, this is the one this is episode 11, I think, is it? Yeah. But this was a one that they, mid-season, as it were, almost mid-season, that they decided they were going to go all out on and spend a lot of money. A lot of CGI here.
A lot of CGI. I want to start by just sort of like I don't know, a general overview of how I thought of this. It was very interesting because it's very classic sci-fi drama, but you also have the innocence of Phlox having the experiences. We learn a lot about Phlox in this episode in the sense that he is someone who is open for any experience.
A seeker.
A seeker, exactly. Yeah. And then you have Travis sitting in the captain's chair, and there's a lot of nuances about the balance between a Star Trek show and then the reality of what we were in reality, which was new to this.
Yes, and suddenly thrown in right at the deep end of space travel. We had no idea what we were getting into here.
Right.
And some lovely guest performances. John Fleck makes a reappearance as Silic. He's always good value. And Matt Winston, who plays Daniels, is just terrific. And not to give a little Easter egg here, because we've recently watched Galaxy Quest, and he's in that. I don't know if you noticed. Yes,
he is the son or grandson of Stan Winston.
Is that right? I did not know that. Terribly good actor.
Film royalty.
Right. I should, because it's been brought to my attention when I complained about Discovery, saying that chap at the end of Discovery was Daniels, when they do the homage to the legacy shows, and the camera wanders over some baseballs for Deep Space Nine, and I'm trying to think what they did for Next Gen. Anyway, turns out that the guy on Discovery with the dark glasses, that's always been a bit of an enigma, he's Daniels. And I was like, what? And I didn't mean. Apparently, God knows, you have to be so careful what you say. I only said that because I was jealous of dear Matt because he got really good, juicy episodes when he came on.
Oh, the social media vitriol that you must have caught.
I did. I got apparently there was some social media like, how dare you?
Yeah,
And I just want to clear that up that this was not an affront at Discovery. And I actually, when you pass it around your head for longer than 2 minutes, a nice way to pay homage to Enterprise. If you weren't going to pick the captain as your focus to pay your respects, this was a very good character to do it with.
definitely.
And if you will, enigmatic and came out of left field. Should have been me, but there it is. And
It's you eventually.
eventually. So I just want to clear that up. I thought, yes, it was a good conceit, and whatever I said was said in jest, with my tongue slightly in my cheek. And
Ladies and gentlemen, Dominic's tongue in cheek is similar to mine, and it's constant.
it's constant, and it is, and it's a very subtle British tongue in cheek.
Oh, it is. It
It
is.
is, which a lot of you Yanks might not get.
It's like, is that
No,
a
now I'm
joke?
just
Not
throwing
a joke?
myself
Is that
under
a
the bus
joke?
again. Anyway, yeah, some lovely guest stars, not least from him, and I really liked what's his name, Michael O'Hagan, who played the captain of the Captain Fraddock, who's
Yeah.
delivering these.
Dismissive and
He's
everything.
brilliant.
Yeah. He's like, whatever, come over. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. He literally is he's the tour bus operator, isn't
He's
he?
a salty dog tour bus operator.
What's he done? Tour bus operator that really, if these mugs want to come and see this, electron field plume thing and say it's the start of their creation, whatever, have at
Whatever.
it.
Do you guys have
Yeah.
rum? I like
Yeah.
rum.
Yeah, yeah. I've got cheap Neluvian rum I'm serving them.
I have to say though that in the beginning of the episode, Reed looks like he's woken up on the wrong side of the bed.
No, okay. What's my first scene?
Well, the first scene you have is you're
Oh, that's the first. I was watching this the other day with Sarah. It's the first, I think, the first and maybe only time I left my console and went to my right to go off stage. We never used that entrance. I mean, maybe one other time in 4 years.
good point.
Yeah, and I went off stage right, as it were, or stage left, if you're looking at it.
But the first scene, you're kind of like, no, what? Okay, fine,
Yeah,
I'm going.
yeah. Well, I probably read the script and went, I'm not in this one. That bloody little did I know that Matt the Daniels Winston was going to usurp my anyway, well, I didn't mean to play it that way. I'm trying to think.
But it works. I mean, it
Yeah,
works. There's no reason why, everybody's supposed to be, white teeth and grinning every moment where, things are happening. It's a job. It's a slog.
it is. Yeah.
Starship.
So I mean, let's think of this through. So we welcome these pilgrims aboard, and Joseph Hindi plays the main pilgrim, Pram Mantus, and he's rather lovely in it. And they really are Burning Men, aren't they? They're all Burning Man
Oh, yeah.
types, and then hidden amongst their number is Silic, given away by the fact that he's the one with the frightening spiky face.
Yeah, exactly. I love that last scene where like they sit on
Yes.
him for a second, like,
Could
oh,
it be
it's
him?
him. It's going to be him.
In the lineup, madam, which one
Yeah.
would you pick?
That one.
And they're all going to see what is it now? It's the plume of
It's a plume of
uh, uh,
Agasauria. Agasauria?
Agasauria. Well done, mate. Which is their creation story. And there's a lot of CGI here. I mean, and it looks good. I mean, they must have spent it because CGI back in those days was very expensive, and there was no small amount of money they spent on this. Um, yes, what else did I write down here? Um, so yeah, and then we meet Future Guy properly for the second time.
Right.
Yeah, which I understand from doing a little bit of reading, and one never knows whether they're telling the truth here. The Brannon and Rick and the creators,
Fire!
lie, pants on fire. Apparently, they had it in mind that ultimately Future Guy was going to be Scott. That they were going to somehow turn that story around. That Scott was going back to was. What did I write here? That Future Guy is Archer trying to connect with history and repair a corrupt future by influencing his past self. And Silic tried to kill Archer in an earlier episode.
Yeah.
But maybe this was to prevent present Archer from doing something bad.
Well, yeah, let's get into this dynamic of the episode, which is Silic comes in, and when we've got the whole sort of Burning Man group coming into engineering, he breaks the wire,
Which is helpful.
which is helpful.
It looks like it's going to be an act of sabotage initially.
Right.
And
And
he
had it
breaks
not
away from the
happened,
group.
the ship would have blown to pieces.
You should have gone, and we're walking, and we're walking.
Okay, so I've got a couple of stories in this episode.
Uh-huh.
So, as you might have recognized, there's a lot of gobbledygook being spoken in that first scene.
Yeah.
And this was, what are we in? Episode? We're
Quite
very
early on.
very early on. And so I'm walking with everybody and I'm describing the warp core. Now, Connor had no idea how this damn thing worked. This is my first time I get any information about how things go from here to here to here to here. And shockingly, I was not very good at getting those lines right. I had them bring in the Akutas to describe this to me. I had to say, listen, I need to know this. I need to know exactly how it goes from the core to the this to the that to the other thing.
Were they on the lot, or did you get them out of bed?
No, they were on the lot. Yeah, they were there. I mean, I might have even requested it previous to this, knowing the scene that was coming on, because I was like, you guys, hang on a second. You know this, but I don't. So somebody explain this to me. So they come down, and then this is one of my probably season 1 blooper scenes where, oh man, I couldn't get this.
You just couldn't get it.
Oh, so I was
And
like,
you're in front of all those extras,
all those
guest
guys.
stars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're going, how do these people get these jobs?
Seriously, it was one of those days where it was like the DiCaprio moment where in
The Hollywood story.
Hollywood, yeah, where I went back to my train and I was like, God,
You couldn't just have 7 whiskey sours.
you had to have 8. Yeah, so that was the first time that ever really happened to me. And then also the other story is that, and I brought this up before, I thought it was much later in our show, but it happened in this episode where he's speaking with Daniels and he says, hey, listen, we have a bet going on here about how far the ship will go.
It's quite cute.
Yeah, well, as written in the original script was, we have a bet going on how far the ship will go, and I've lost for 30 straight days. And I read that, and I didn't really call very often to say something, but I called the office, and I'm sure I spoke to Brannon, and I was like, listen, you want to make him a dummy? That's what you're doing.
Right.
If you don't, you should change this. And so that part of it was eliminated.
Right.
Which I appreciated very, very much.
No, that was much cuter that you just, there's a bet going on and, hey.
Right.
I know a good thing when I see it coming. So tell me, yeah,
Yeah. You got any clues? Yeah.
having seen The Night of the Killer Androids as the movie,
Right.
that was a nice little moment. I like that. That's 2 hours of my life I'll never get back, or something.
Exactly.
Pretty cute. Um, that scene between Anthony and Linda's rather nice when she, sort of persuades him to take the chair.
Yeah.
You're in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was very subtle. It was nice.
it was nice, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then he
Um,
locks up the little pad, and then you walk in, and he's like, "Oh, no,
yes,
no."
that was actually that was very cute, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
because apparently you're still in a bad mood.
yes, and I loved. I had a little button at the end where I look over and roll my eyes before I
Right.
sit down and continue my very important work.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yes, we figure out that someone sabotaged the warp core, as it were, but to our advantage, so that we wouldn't blow up because we were near meltdown, and so we
Well,
begin
we
an
need to tell our story. We need to carry on. And in terms of, looking in the past into the future, this scenario could not occur.
right. Yeah, and Daniels, of course, as we've seen him at the beginning, waiting on Scott in the captain's dining room,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden he appears uh, and piques the captain's interest quite quickly with,
He has that great scene
yeah, and we need to
where
talk.
he's like,
And
you
all of a sudden, this, it's like the Minority Report comes
it was
up.
very cool. It was
It
very
was
cool.
very cool. And it's all timeline, temporal history stuff. And you were here and I'm from over here. And he's a very good actor, Matt Wisdom. And
It is.
he has that everyman face that you can, slip, just plug in. But
Right.
he's got the chops, never overplays it.
No.
Um, yeah, just is he's very watchable. In some ways he reminds me of Steve Culp in that respect. Um,
Yeah.
that sort of just good, solid, s- you know, uh, you know when someone's just in command of their tool, as it were, their craft, and they know their place in the scene of it, and they don't
You feel
over.
safe with them.
Yeah, you feel safe with them. They don't overgill the lily. They don't try and steal a scene. They just deliver the information, and it's that's half the task of being a good actor. Is Gielgud used to say, you act accordingly to the style of the thing that you're in,
Yeah.
and if you once you get that tone right, the rest is, as long as you've got the experience, it's plain sailing.
Yeah.
And don't and I love the way, in many ways, he throws quite a lot of it away.
He does.
And I know this is a lot for you to keep up with, Captain, but here it is.
Right.
Um,
I know you
uh,
like your eggs soft.
yes, so that's a lovely. That's
Yeah.
have I ever gypped you? Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
no kidding. What else?
Well, I'm gonna have to say, just as a general comment, we had John Fleck on in our previous iteration, and every time now having talked to him and learned of his experience, every time I see him, I was like, he hates this.
He hated it. I know. Can you imagine that opening teaser scene when he's lying on the bed with wires coming out of his head, and
Yeah.
uh, it's all pretty creepy, that first teaser scene. And James Horan, who plays Future Guy, apparently he knew nothing of what he was saying. It was a voiceover,
Oh,
and they wouldn't tell him anything. And he just literally made it up on the spot. Um, but it's rather well done.
and
And
also I love the childlike wonder that Phlox carries.
yes, yeah.
It really sort of solidifies uh, somewhat his role on the show. I wish we'd had more of that.
Mm.
He's so intrigued by the idea of going to visit these things, and he comes back and says, I went to a Buddhist temple and
Yes.
this, that, and the other thing, and he's got this sort of childlike wonder and glow
Yeah.
about the experience.
Yes, and the engagement with other cultures is
Yeah,
beliefs and belief systems. Yeah.
almost like Phlox figured out that, you know what, we might blow up. This
Yeah.
might not work,
Yeah.
but I'm going to get everything out of this that I possibly can.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, he totally lives in the present, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah,
And there's no concern about I've recently read that book, the subtle art of not giving an fuck.
right,
And the main tenet at the end of that book is, and I give two F's about far too much, is we're all going to die. And, you don't get that many days on this wonderful bauble called planet Earth.
right.
And I don't know the rest of the country maybe, but today in Southern California is absolutely pristine.
Yeah,
And it's the most glorious day out there. And, really embrace it. I
yeah,
mean, it's
yeah,
who knows what tomorrow might not bring.
yeah.
And
Breathe deeply, get
yeah,
your heart pumping,
yeah, it
think
really.
about things.
And really take a minute to smell the roses, and
Yeah,
that's what Phlox represents, particularly in this episode,
absolutely.
is the smelling of the roses, and yeah,
One of the things I really, really liked about this episode, in fact, I didn't remember it um, very well. And
no, I know I didn't because I wasn't in it much, and I dare say I was at the beach quite a bit that week. I wouldn't be surprised, mind you. In those early days of the show, I was moving into the. I think by now I was just about to maybe move into the house.
oh,
And I was very grateful of the days off I had to sort of, get the house straight
right.
and, you know, go furniture shopping at IKEA and the like. And, nothing ever took one trip. It always took three. I don't, I don't know how that happens, but it does.
Wait a
Um,
minute, I don't have like 3-inch Phillips head screws?
yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah. God knows whenever I got, the out of its box to put up and an IKEA table.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the
right.
and it was like you just stare at this like, oh my God, you got three Allen keys and like a bag full of bolts
And
and
then one bolt left.
one bolt left. Where's
All of us.
where's
And
that
you're
bolt
like,
go?
oh no.
Yeah. I made a necklace out of all of them.
Yeah, yeah. But I will say that I think that I mean this is classic sci-fi. This is a classic episode. There's I think we spent a lot of time early on, which is appropriate for a new show, developing characters. People get episodes, so that we know who
Mm.
they are. This was just straight good storytelling.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, with some great visuals. I mean,
Yeah,
they say at the beginning they spared no expense. There was a lot. I mean, there was a lot of Suliban hand going in, going
yeah.
through walls. The whole timeline, Temporal Cold War that Daniel shows him. The teaser scene with Future Man. That all cost. Back in those days, cost a fortune.
Not only that, I will say that
And Robbie. I mean, he had to undertake all that. This was
he
a
did,
big episode.
and very well done. I will also say that that kind of technology that we now take for granted was so very new
Yeah, oh God,
at the
cutting
time.
edge at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. What did you think about? I mean, I'm trying to sort of think of Robbie's direction. I mean, he told the story earnestly, with a good pace. Um,
I thought it was seamless
yeah, good TV
television
directing.
drama.
Yeah. He got all
Yeah.
the shots.
Yeah.
There was some interesting shots too. I think that stuff, some good close-ups in the scene with Daniels and Archer as they're weighing each other up. I noticed that was well done.
Yeah.
Um,
One thing I will say about Robbie's direction is that to me it was seamless, and that is not an easy task.
no,
And also in terms of working with directors, this didn't happen often to us, but it happened occasionally where we would have an episode with someone, and I think as a cast we would kind of be like, "What's going on?" He's very good. He's very good at telling the story as the helmsman,
mm,
and also incorporating our feelings, wants, and desires. I'll circle this back to me saying, Robbie, I don't think this is appropriate for me to not know how far this ship goes every day.
right.
Like, totally agree. We should make a
Yeah,
call.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah, I had not noticed. Well, I didn't. If I did read it in the script initially, I didn't notice it. But no, you're absolutely right. Um, Something just crossed my mind. What was it about Robbie? Oh, I do remember he was the first director that brought music onto the set.
Yeah.
I had never experienced that in my and then David Straighton was the next one that brought and created a vibe.
Yep.
And Robbie had these I bought them all. They were Starbucks CDs of sort of various genre,
Punk and rock and whatever.
but it's similar genre stuff, and I've still got them in the cupboard there. And I have to say, they're great CDs, and there was about half a dozen of them, and I went out and got the lot. And it was a really nice vibe that this soundtrack he decided to play while in between setup.
It's funny you say that because I really recognized, I think maybe for the first time, the sound of our show. It was so very well done. I was thinking about this, watching it. I was like, man, you've got because there's so much tension involved. You've got the low doses of tension happening,
Mhm.
and I thought it was extraordinary. Um, and also, I want to say about Robbie, I think it was the first time. Well, no, we'd had Roxanne before, but we'd had Roxanne and we'd had Robbie, and me, you, and Anthony were in the program to direct, and
Hmm.
I was continually so excited about the idea that we could possibly do this, and
Hmm.
watching these, cast members,
Ex-alum doing it themselves.
you're
Yeah,
actually doing it, and
yeah.
as we all know, that fell by the wayside as a result of not being allowed to have new directors on
Mm.
our show. But I mean, I remember being so excited about the possibility of what we could do. Those who were interested in directing.
Yeah, I know. It's the one regret I have taking away from those years is that we didn't get that chance
Yeah,
to take it all the way because we put the homework in, that's for sure.
yeah,
And look, in many ways, it certainly furthered my fluency of filmmaking, and I have no regrets about that. Whenever I go onto a film set now, I know exactly where we are in the day, and yeah, and uh, I know what's expected of me in this shot now, rather than giving it all the time.
yeah. I also
And
think that it gave us an awareness of the totality and the
yes,
size of what the whole thing was, because as our audience hopefully knows, it's so split in terms of production needs versus
yeah,
story needs.
yeah,
That we'll do page 3 through 9,
yeah,
47 through 50, and
absolutely.
6 through 90.
Yeah,
And
we're in this space now, and six different scenes, 8 pages apart in the script, all happen here, but we're
yeah,
doing them all today.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You have to really know, well, how's that feed? What does this feed into this? And yeah, otherwise it sticks out like a sore thumb. that you got the tone wrong. You got you didn't come in with the right, that old adage about acting, when you come on set, on stage, where have you come from? What are you doing here? And where are you going after?
That's right.
Because that's how we all live.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And theatrically, that has an organic evolution.
Yeah.
But in filmmaking, it doesn't. That evolution gets created by the editor and the director
Yes.
post our work.
But you have to be aware of it on set.
You have, well,
Otherwise,
that's exactly, yeah, to
yeah.
what you're saying. That's your job, is to recognize what the whole arc of this thing
Yeah.
is, and then remember where you're at.
Yeah. I love it when I watch TV stuff now, or movies, and I know that they shot out of sequence, but it's seamless, the cutting together. And I
Yeah,
and I really respect that.
I
When an
do too.
actor knows exactly the time they took that sip of drink, put the glass down, and now it's cutting to them, and it's just seamless. And I go, that's professional acting,
Yeah,
man.
that's
Yeah.
craftsmanship.
That's craftsmanship. Yeah. It makes it look, like it's just real, like it just happened and you were a
Right,
fly on the wall watching that scene,
right.
and you know that it wasn't. The fight between Silic and Archer, I thought it was rather good. And the idea that Silic is there to help him and that Daniels can't be trusted. I like that,
That's
that
the great
spanner.
wonder of a good science fiction hour of television. I
Yeah.
mean, I really think that this was, again, Stephen Beck and Tim Finch. I don't remember them,
I don't remember them, and I don't think they stayed beyond the first season. I
but
don't
they
think
wrote a very, very good episode, a
they
very
sure
good
did.
episode of dramatic television.
Yeah, they did. To Paul remains skeptical about it all, in her usual fashion. And I mean, I quite like Jolene's place in all of this. That she is the actually not Debbie Downer's not quite the right. Uh,
Well, you have the dichotomy between T'Pol and Phlox, and
yeah,
Phlox is childlike in his desire to just experience everything,
yeah,
and T'Pol is like, what did she say? Their religion is basically uh, clarity and truth and knowledge. She has a line where she says, well, we believe in.
it's not so much facts, but it is something like that, isn't it?
Well, yeah, they're the Vulcans truly are kind of just pragmatists.
Yeah, they really are. There's no emotion attached to anything.
No,
No.
it is what it is.
Yeah. I remember, do you know, the one part of the episode I remember is when I put the lock on Daniels's door. I
At
remember,
the
I
end,
don't know why I remember that so vividly. Do you know there are some things in life you just go, you don't know why you choose to viscerally remember that moment, but I
yeah,
remember doing that lock. I don't
right.
know why. I've never forgotten doing it. I remember being quite impressed by the lock itself and the way it fitted on the door, and it was an easy prop to work with. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of, the technological things about the show, listen, so Archer has this thing on his hand
Mm. Yes.
and he goes through the wall,
Yeah.
and the willingness and belief that that's just going to be okay,
Yes.
kind of extraordinary.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, proper captain stuff.
Yeah. I
Um,
love the scene where they get in the fight and then John Fleck as Silic just dives down to
yeah.
their pod.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Just
Tom
beautiful.
was great, wasn't he? And God knows when you go back to and say again, remember how much he hated being
He
in that suit. And
was
yeah,
claustrophobic, which,
yeah,
man, I mean, you had the whole thing up to your eyelids,
yeah,
both ends, and you're completely covered. And if you suffer from that, man, it must have been I can't.
It's a long day. You never did it, did you? You never did
No,
full.
I didn't.
You never went full.
I never went full silic.
You never went full full. What are they called? You never went full Suliban.
I never went full Suliban. No.
I went full. It's a long day, man. It
Yeah.
is. Yeah. And when they take that back piece off, and a waterfall of sweat
Yeah.
trickles down your back at now 3 in the morning,
Right.
and it stinks a bit. And yeah, I've said many a time I'd stare in the mirror as they were starting this solvent, and I just looked like this ravaged drag queen. That was those were long. That was a long week.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Suliban episode,
And
and
and he knew every time he was coming into work that he was going to have to go to a place that he's not comfortable in.
right. You do. You have to. It is. It's you go to a Zen place where you literally breathe, and you're kind of on your own the whole day, as much as you can, interact with other people, but there's this wall up that
Yeah.
you're behind. And and it's almost as if you're in the tropics talking to someone who's in 68-degree temperature, but you're in
Yeah.
the tropics.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to play a part that's sort of counterintuitive to who you are as a person. That's what we do as actors. It's a whole other thing to have a somewhat of a condition, I guess you'd say,
Mm,
where it doesn't matter what the part is that you're playing, you are suffering from
yeah,
claustrophobia. And I
yeah,
mean suffering.
yeah, yeah. The temporal accord. I thought that was quite an interesting concept. Somewhat akin to like a nuclear treaty, I guess.
Yeah,
That the way we're keeping the peace is, everyone plays nice, and
right.
doesn't go back and forth, sodding it up for other ages to come. And I thought that was quite interesting.
Well, and also on that note, we find out later, but I was a little confused about, um, Silic has been sent there for this reason
Hmm.
to make sure that we don't blow up,
Mm.
and how that manifests later. We do find out, but at the moment, this is what I liked so much about the episode is that I don't need my hour of television to tell me everything. I don't need to have it wrapped up and tied in a bow. I do not. I am
You
much
don't
more.
like Law and Order?
Yeah, exactly. Turn, turn, turn. I'm much more interested in the questions that come up versus a solution. And I like that about this episode.
Mm.
There is no
Yeah, it does.
solution.
It leaves a lot of loose ends,
Yeah,
and I guess intentionally so because they knew that this was going to be somewhat of at least one avenue of our show was going to go down this road, and that this was going to be a returnee.
yeah, but they didn't do it as much as we thought they were going to.
No, they didn't. I don't know why. I mean, either they just didn't. Brannon has tweeted in the past that they knew exactly where this was going to go, and you kind of go, yeah.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
know how that works.
yeah, for our audience, you should know that anytime showrunners, executive producers, creators of a show, they come up with a thing called a Bible.
You're right.
And this Bible is the arc of the entire series. And I think that in this instance, the this might have been intention. This might have been thought of as more of the Bible than it was actually played
Right.
in our series.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, as we know, by the end of that first season, and we got to Shuttlepod 1, which was meant to be the money saver because they spent so much money.
Yeah.
And if they were going back to this temporal Cold War, they were like,
That's a lot of money.
that episode cost $4.5 million.
Yeah. Right.
And apparently the fans didn't understand a word of it.
Right. Right. Because it was, I mean, is the
It was.
temporal Cold War? It's not a new thing to our. Is it a new thing to our series?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if that was that was a part of the.
I think initial word is it was unique to our show.
Yeah. Right.
I believe. Yeah. So don't shoot me if I'm wrong. And I like Daniels. I hope we got that cleared up. Apparently, those subreddit pages of just trashing me.
But I
It's
did.
tough. As an older man, it's not nice to be trashed on subreddit. I can tell you.
hurt your feelings.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Look, Dom, what we're trying to do here is to show and share with our fans our love for what we've done
Yes. No
and
kidding, mate.
we're going to get stuff wrong.
Yeah.
We did do it, but we are not students of what
No.
this was.
We're becoming students, and
Yes, we are. But we were
I,
there. But we were there.
but we were there, and we're giving you a unique perspective of what it was like to be there and shoot this show
Right.
at the time, and in real world terms, as actors who got a really good gig, and then 30 years, 25 years later, now really understand just what a lucky break this was.
Yeah.
If you weren't going to go on to become just an utterly working actor, going from show to show, and so few of those do, what a show to have gotten on. And
Right.
my appreciation of this just deepens literally month to month, year to year now.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I watched this episode this morning, and it's nice to be surprised at being impressed with something. I really liked this episode.
Yeah, me too. It was the proper sci-fi, and
Yeah.
it was, the hijinks technically were well done, because they can often look hokey and take you out of the reality, and they didn't. They actually really sucked you in. I mean, that one scene between Daniels and Archer was wow. That
The
was
whole
that
thing.
was like I say, that was Minority Report standard, man. I mean,
And
not
then
good.
there's that scene where like Trip goes like, "What's this?" Boom, and then he has this little screen.
Yeah.
He's like, "Don't touch that."
What else? How does it end? I'm just trying to think. So
Well, it ends with you locking the
I
door.
lock up Daniel's door
Daniel.
for future reference. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's again, it's one of those. I'm really impressed by this episode because it doesn't answer anything, but it does move the story forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, we know that Archer's already met Saren in the Broken Bow episode, so
Right.
we know that there's this subplot to our entire journey into space that we have no idea
Right.
what we're getting into. And now this is the episode that and as far as I'm aware, not everyone other than you, I don't think. Malcolm sort of has an idea, but doesn't really know. He's not privy to the whole stuff that Archer's been shown, is he?
Archer brings in to Paul and Trip to have
Yeah.
that scene in
Yeah.
quarters.
Yeah. So this is still some of it's under wraps, and I have to say that I mean, I did watch the episode and go, Malcolm should be, he really should have been.
Malcolm was that character in
Apocalypse Now.
Phlox. No, thank you. This episode, Dominic's I forget the
I'm the
actor's
latrine.
name. The one who's like, yeah, man, there's surfing left over there on the Mekong River.
If you don't mind the smell of napalm,
That's right.
it's a good barrel.
That's right. Yeah.
There's some good waves coming next week, mate. So you won't see me Thursday through Sunday next week. It's off.
You're in. You're
It
in the
looks
water?
like it's going to be like 4 to 5, the odd 6, 7.
Nice.
It's about time
So,
to go out there
just
again.
for the fans here, early on, one of our camera operators, Gary, was a really successful, I think, professional surfer before he became a camera
He
operator.
was, I don't know about pro, but he hung out with the Dogtown boys.
Dogtown Boys, yeah.
Yeah, that Heath Ledger did that movie about, and
Yeah.
then there was a documentary. One or two of
So,
them are not alive anymore, and one or
yeah,
two of them went to jail. But he was part of that crew.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I talked to Gary about surfing early on, and he's like, "I've got a shaper. He's going to make you a board." And so I did all this research, and I wanted to have World War II nose cone art.
yeah,
And I gave him the design, and his shaper made the board, and it took a while, and it was a long board, and it had this sort of Betty Page kind of
yeah.
black, flowy. Do you still have it?
I do.
This black flowy thing all down the bottom of the board. And I lived too far away. I really wasn't too keen on surfing, but I
Well,
tried.
I remember your first wife, Ariana, kind of gave an ultimatum. You can't golf and surf. I'll be a
Yeah,
widow,
right.
and you've got to choose one. So you chose golf because it was round the corner.
Exactly. And then I
And
also remember being on this surfboard when I was still doing it and thinking to myself, hmm,
it
black
looks like a seal.
looks like a steel, black flowy on the bottom. And I thought,
Trust
I'm not
me.
writing that again. And then I said, want to buy it? And
Yes,
you still have it.
I still have it. It's I've taken it out once or twice.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful board.
It's a beautiful board. I'll take a picture of it and we'll put it up so the fans can see it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a
It's a
beautiful board.
very pretty board.
Yeah.
It's a little big for me, but I took it out to Fiji once and took Nomoto's left is an amazing left, and I got a good few lefts on that board, man. Yeah,
It's
it's
like a 7.6 or something, or 7.9. It's a big
it's a
one.
9-0. It's a big
The
board.
9.0.
Yeah, it's a 9-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, you an elephant could get up on that thing.
Not me.
Not
Not
me.
me.
Uh,
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed our watch party of Cold Front. I think it's one of our early on best episodes about
yeah.
moving our show forward, and everybody was fantastic in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching. Please, we need your support as Patreon members. We I know we keep banging on, but if you
We're never
want
going
us
to
to
stop banging on about
well,
this.
no, we can't because if you want us to shoot live in the studio with good guests, I'm afraid it costs money. And look, I can't say Connor and I are making no money doing this. We're making no money doing this, mate. It's we're doing this out of love, and we hope we're building something.
Yeah.
And I just can't impress upon you. We can't impress upon you enough how much we need your assistance, and it's not a lot. Um, I'll even say this: if we put out a poll and say, look, we'll take down the lowest Patreon membership to $5, would that make a difference a month? Because we'll do it. We just need your help. We want to carry on doing this, but we're
We love
relying
doing it.
on the.
It's a really wonderful experience to do this with you and to
It
talk
is,
about the show.
yeah,
And I think it's got great value.
yeah. No, honestly, it's given me a shot in the arm at this point in my career, my life, to come back together with you, Con, and it's brought us closer together. And we talk about community a lot in this day and age. And if you want to be part of the community and please support us. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you. I hope you had a good time. We've got a really good guest coming. There was an Easter egg in this episode. Some of you might see it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, there was. He's not too bright, that one.
that's right. That's true. That's true.
But I love him.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Well, listen, have a great weekend.
Likewise.
Nanu, guys.
See y'all later.